It is the capper of Tamarack Ottawa race weekend. Welcome everyone to our coverage of the Tartan Ottawa Marathon. Arash Badani with you. It is great to have you with us. We had a record-setting Saturday in the 10K, and we are looking forward to what should be a terrific star-studded field on both the men's and women's side. I'm calling it today. Jenna Ladd is here, Reed Coulthard is here, and if today is anything like last night, we are in store for a treat where we had a Canadian record be shattered on the men's side last night.
Yeah, we usually don't see such favorable conditions here in Ottawa. It's often hot. Yesterday it was cool. This morning it was cool. So the athletes aren't going to be afraid to push the pace early today.
7 degrees Celsius is the feels like temperature, Jenna, but you made the point with the humidity, it's a little different from a condition standpoint.
Yeah, 90% humidity, so it is cool out there, but I think the sweat factor will start to kick in where it feels like that warm, wet blanket as athletes start to warm up. So this race is typically known as Ottawa traditionally, so we get a little bit of that, but altogether it's going to be great.
42.2 kilometers that'll weave and navigate throughout Ottawa and into the province of Quebec. Let's bring up the course map that takes a little bit of a different turn than we saw in the 10K yesterday. It starts, of course, at City Hall, then they will turn right as they make their way up Parliament Hill. That's actually the biggest hill of the course for about a kilometer. Then comes a 2K descent that the runners can make up some time. At the 3K mark, they'll reach the War Museum, then some rolling along the Ottawa River, then roll back towards the War Museum. The race will take them into Tunney's Pasture at the 5K mark. That's the first of 8 water bottles. Then they'll roll back towards the War Museum again. At the 8K mark, that's when they'll cross over to Quebec. They'll cross the Chaudière Bridge. The bridge is just shy of a kilometer. You see it right there. They'll take a left on Alexandre Taché. At the 10K mark is the second hill of any substance, and the rest of Quebec is flat for about 5K. There are some ice bags available for the competitors if they're interested in it. Again, it is a cool day here in Ottawa. And as they wrap through Quebec, they'll cross the Alexandria Bridge here to come back into Ottawa. This is the third hill of substance on the track. The first 100 meters of that bridge is pretty steep. And this is Sussex Drive in Ottawa as they cross kilometer number 18 and loop back around. And then once they get into the early 20s, the 22, 23K mark, that's when they'll run through the Governor General's residence and Rideau Hall. The Prime Minister, Prime Minister-elect Mark Carney, who was a spectator yesterday, they'll pass his cottage on the property. And then back along Sussex Drive, they'll pass the U.S. Embassy at about the 25-kilometer mark, and there it's pan flat for the next 12 kilometers along the canal. Now, the key spot is going to come at about the 36-kilometer mark. For here, as you can see, it's going to be flat. And that's when they'll head up the Bronson Bridge, Jenna, and it's going to be a fairly steep incline there. And then they'll lose it almost immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the Bronson Bridge is a quick turnaround. It is at an inopportune time of the event where you do not want to get a hill. I know some athletes are going to sigh and complain about it, but it's up and then it's a quick down so they can get some speed on that downhill.
So as they come around the 35, 36K mark, this could be the spot for a move. By 37K, it's flat the rest of the way. There's a sneaky bit of a grind the last 400 meters. It's 0.5% of an incline. Enough to make a difference maybe in the record being broken, but not necessarily in the result. And then ultimately the finish line at kilometer 42. That is the Tartan Ottawa Marathon course map that we are getting set for in a relatively flat track. We have the elites, we have the recreational runners. Let's take a look at the runners that we're going to be following today. The top 10 men, let's start there because there are a couple of big names to keep your eye on, led by Albert Carrier, who won the New York City Marathon. You see him there, number 2 on your list. Carrier had to pull out of Boston a few weeks back because of an ankle issue. It's not 100%. And so that kind of suggests to you, okay, maybe there could be an opening for the Canadian. Rory Linkletter, 28 years young from Calgary. He just broke his own personal best in Boston this year. That's where that 2:07.02 came from.
Yeah, that's a really fast time. Even his official PB is still 2:08, which is very fast. It's very competitive here. You see a lot of, you see a couple 2:06s and 2:07s on the start list there, but a couple of those guys haven't run those lately. Whereas Rory's in the best shape of his life right now. Has a fast 10K already this year, so he's in the prime right now. I think we're going to see Abdi Ali Galechu, as well as Belay Tillahan up there as well. So there'll be a pack of, well, who knows? At the beginning there might be quite a big pack, but we'll see once we get past 10K, we'll see who's really in contention and who's going to be fighting for those podium spots. Let's
take a look at the women's side, where there is also a couple of Canadians to keep an eye on. You see Anne-Marie Comeau among them. Viseline Shevchenko, 35 years old, just arrived in Ottawa a couple of days ago, and she's definitely going to be one to watch.
Yeah, Viseline, she's got a really fast PB, 2:21. Not only that, she's run 2:22 fairly recently. Meseret Gebra actually was 4th last year at the Toronto Waterfront Marathon. Very good time. Phyllis Ongori actually lives in Southern Ontario. She's been on the circuit for a while. Her best times have come years ago. And then not shown up here because she's making her debut is Mercy Chelangat. And I think Mercy's going to be up there fighting for the win. She's run already a 1:08 half marathon this year, so that's a very fast time. She might have one of the fastest half marathons in the field, and she's making her debut. She had a really good career at the University of Alabama on the NCAA circuit, and she seems really excited for today.
Mercy Chelangat, 27 years old. You mentioned she ran the half marathon that was in Houston earlier this year. Jenna, what are you looking for today?
Yeah, I'm with Reed. I think that Mercy is one to watch. I've had my eyes on her as well. I think she's going to be that surprise contender that comes out of the field that a lot of people don't know about. So I think that that's going to be a great introduction to her for our city, and not the first time we'll see her again.
The signature event of Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend. From City Hall. And we are underway in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm getting emotional. I always get emotional when I watch the start of the marathon. It is, like you said, Arash, our signature event. It is our Super Bowl. I mentioned it yesterday. I won't say too much. I gotta swallow these big feelings because this is an incredible, incredible event for our community, an incredible event for our athletes, new runners. We've got runners from all over the world, as you mentioned, and athletes competing for their first time at this distance. So you have a massive, massive field of general population athletes trying their hand at something new today and chasing those elites down. So not only do they get to, chase their personal best, but they get to be in line with some of the world's greatest athletes and witness that history unfold. So it really is a special event, and we're blessed to have these incredible runners battling it out alongside everyone else.
Yeah, so here's the lead men. We won't see the lead women individually until a little bit into the course, as they can only have one vehicle right at the start. So we'll probably just focus on the men here for a little bit, but you can tell, if you look at the bibs, you'll see pace on the front, so you'll know they're pacers. If they have their name on the bib, that means they're racers. And we see Albert, Rory, and CJ tucked in behind the two pacers here. And right off the bat, these guys, they know what they're doing. They're professionals.
So there's Rory Linkletter, again, of Calgary, in the middle of your screen, just behind the pace setters. The game plan coming in for Linkletter: be in position to make a move, be in position to match a move. And I thought it was interesting that Linkletter said someone can actually win this race before 10K. I thought that was a really interesting way of kind of thinking about what this Sunday morning could be like in a 42.2 kilometer run.
Yeah, I would say the opposite could be true too. Mm-hmm. You could lose this race in the first 10K if you go out too fast. With the likes of Albert Carrier here, he's run New York 3 times. the worst he's finished is second.
Yeah.
Boston, he's been top 6 at Boston a few times. So he's the type of runner that could pace this race really well. So it would be really tough to get going really early.
This event is really an incredible charity fundraiser. So not only does it provide a ton of support for the Ottawa economy, but there are millions of dollars in charitable contributions from athletes and organizations that are supporting charities from all over Canada and across the world today. So $1,132,000 plus in charity fundraising throughout this event. You'll see a lot of athletes with charity outfits, sometimes in costume. It's pretty extraordinary, the stories that you hear and the individuals that you meet. And again, Arash, I mentioned I was going to get choked up. This is in part 2 of me feeling the vibe of this race weekend and why it's so important for so many athletes. Not only is it a physical goal, but they are doing something to support the world in it becoming a better place and their peers and their fellow countrymen as they go here. So it's an extraordinary event of personal gain as well as community gain.
So back to the lead men and back to the lead women. The course record set in 2022 on the men's side by Andulam Bele Shefara in 2:06:04. The women's record was set back in 2018 by Gillette Burka 2:22:17. There's Rory Linkletter again on the left. Trailing him in the blue and the green is CJ Albertson, his friend from Fresno, California. They've developed a little bit of a friendly rivalry. And it was Albertson kind of coming into this marathon who said, actually, I haven't been in crazy good fitness. He said, last year in Chicago, I felt great, but he said the training, workouts, the lead up to Boston, he said, I haven't gotten the volume I've needed. I haven't had wow moments in training. But he said, look, if the first half of this course, I'm getting through it, if the pace is fairly quick for my fitness, with the second half being flat, I think I may have a shot in there at the end.
Yeah, CJ, he races a lot. He's done some things that have raised eyebrows. One time I think he ran 2:11 for a marathon, and the next week he did the same thing, right? So he's doing things that are unknown. He's also the world record holder for the 50K. So he's got a time of 2:38. I think that is basically coming through the marathon at about 2:13 and keep on going for that 8K, right? So it's 3:10 per kilometer. So he's done some crazy stuff out there, and he's led Boston Marathon a couple times, like well into the race. So he's not afraid of going forward. He's not afraid of doing some pretty crazy challenges, but he's here today, just like Rory, 5 weeks or so after Boston, ready to throw down.
Taking a look at the lead women now, there's the 3 pacers in front. A couple of Canadians, Andrew Alexander, Max Turek, who ran the 10K yesterday, leading that charge. And on the Canadian side, we're going to keep an eye on a couple of them. Anne-Marie Comeau, 28-year-old from Quebec. Reed, you know her quite well as her coach.
Yes, I coach Anne-Marie and her partner JP. So JP's actually out there as well, helping push the pace. They would probably be in the next pack. Anne-Marie is actually an Olympian from 2018, Winter Olympian.
Cross-country skier, yeah.
Yes, and she actually had a shoulder incident falling, which she actually redid again last year as well. And that is one reason why she's really moved to the road. So less of a chance of falling. It's easier. You're not using your shoulders like you are when you're cross-country skiing. So she's taken to the roads, and she's also a very good trail runner. She's made the World Championship team. She was the top Canadian at the last World Championships in the uphill and up-down race. So she's a very versatile athlete. She can run on the roads, the track, and on the trails. And she's coming off of a 15:54 5K a couple weeks ago. So she's really looking to solidify her spot as the top Canadian today in the Ottawa Marathon.
McKenna Fitzgerald, a 25-year-old from Kamloops, BC, another Canadian to keep an eye on. She ran the 10K here last year, did it in 34:10. This is Fitzgerald's second career marathon.
Yeah, she's definitely one to look out for as well. She's already run a 1:13:10 half in France this year. So she's very fit. She's coming in here looking to, to run a fast time and improve on her 2:36 personal best from last year.
So the lead women at about the 5-kilometer mark, running towards Tunney's pasture, a lot of government buildings in this area, and then the course is going to roll back towards the river and towards the War Museum from here, Jenna. Back to the lead men as we come up on the 20-minute mark. To no surprise, there's Rory Linkletter and Albert Carrier.
Yeah, I always try to look at their faces at this point in the race. They're 20 minutes in, so now, they're starting to work a little bit more, and who looks relaxed in the face, who looks relaxed in the upper body. That can tell a lot. You want to be very well within yourself and very relaxed as the longer you can be, right? So if you're forcing the pace early on, that's usually trouble. A runner like Yuki Kawauchi, he looks like he's laboring from the beginning, and he holds it to the end. He won Boston like that, but for the most part, if you see someone really start to grind their upper body, that's a tell that they're going to be suffering by kilometer 30.
And now the lead women.
Yeah, so quite a big pack. You see some of the men have tucked in there as well.
It's 25, not 45.
So
right?
Arnaud Franconi, he was actually the top
he said
Canadian
45.
last year at this race.
Men are
So
confused.
he's tucked in there. There's probably a few Canadian men in front of this pack as well, like the likes of Blair Morgan, Kevin Coffey, Sergio. They'll be ahead. So, I'm guessing sort of like the 7th, 8th sort of Canadian men are in this pack. It's usually nice to have a few more people in the pack, especially if the pacers aren't going to go the full way. The women can have that extra competition. But yeah, it looks like I'm guessing about eight of the top women are tucked in and just sort of like just going with this pace, and everyone's feeling still pretty good at this point.
Very early on in this race, the men are averaging around 3:01, 3:02 a kilometer. The women in the low 3:20s per click so far.
I mean, incredible pace. As you see them and you see them run, and it looks relaxed, it looks comfortable, but for the average athlete, running at that pace would be a full-on effort. So to be able to sustain that kind of pace for 42 kilometers relaxed with a good headspace, with positivity, is an extraordinary feat unto itself. Whether you're going to podium today or going to hit a personal record, these elite athletes, their pace is really incomparable. So it is a pleasure to watch them run so effortlessly here in such ideal conditions.
All right, back to the lead men. You see Rory Linkletter on the left, Albert Carrier out in front. He's in the middle in the orange behind the two pace setters. Again, Carrier won the New York City Marathon, is dealing with a bit of an ankle issue. He said, I remember coming here in 2019 to Ottawa. He said, I was low in experience. I learned it was a different level of running. He credits a lot of his kind of rise with the lessons learned from this event 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's nice that he had this opportunity. It was a bummer, obviously a bummer to not run the Boston Marathon, but to have another race that he could do 5 weeks later, and then on top of that, one that he's familiar with. So he's won this race before. He knows, and the course is slightly different, but he knows the terrain, he knows the city, so he's coming back to familiar ground. So that if anything, that's sort of the silver lining of not being able to race, but finding another race. There's not that many marathons, by the time late May, June roll around. Most marathons are in the spring and the fall. They try to line them up with sort of cooler weather. And there probably wasn't that many opportunities for him beyond this, as far as like a big city marathon with good prize money. Okay, one athlete we haven't talked about much in the lead women's pack here is Paige Wood. So she's an American, and she's run 1:09:20 already this year. She ran that at the Houston Half Marathon, so she's up there as well in the lead pack. That lead pack is it's still like it's quite big. You know, you can see the men's lead pack on the left-hand side starting to string out a little bit. A couple of guys have fallen off. The women's pack, you know, almost 30 minutes into this race, it's still quite intact.
So Wood is an American. She was planning to originally run this race with her good friend Mercy, but life takes you on different journeys. Paige became a mom in November of 2023. Son brought home norovirus from daycare, and Wood hasn't been able to really train the way she wants. Will run the marathon in June in Duluth, but today will probably be out there for about 25K. Help on her build, almost a dress rehearsal for Duluth coming up. Wood, a decorated runner, an All-American at Syracuse University in the steeplechase.
All right, Syracuse, not too far from here,
Not too
relatively
far from
speaking.
here.
Yeah, in that lead pack, like we said, we got Paige Wood, Fantu Shugi, Visaline, Jeb Kesho, Mercy Chalangat, who's, you know, we talked about her earlier, making her debut. Meseret Gebra, very strong competitor. Gosa Dikebo and Salem Fente and Bantu Gata. So there's nine elites up there who split 5K in under 16:50. So that's how the women's race is shaping up right now.
Yeah, so now they're moving into the Quebec side of the route. Now this part of the course changes regularly. Last year in this event, there was no inclusion of Quebec due to construction. So there was some construction delays in the city. As we know, we're in construction season. We can never predict these things. So this is an inclusion this year, which is a little bit different than past years. And what also makes this course unique is that you do get two provinces in one. This side of the course, on a historically warm day, is going to be a nice relief because there are plenty of buildings that will provide moments of shade. However, today we are cloud cast, so it won't provide the same kind of relief. This also section of the course does have lots of turns. There are small ups and downs, so it's not a hilly section per se in terms of consistent grade, but it does undulate up and down. So someone like Career who has an ankle issue, if he's sensitive at all to any change in terrain or elevation, this is where we may see some aches and pains coming in, as well as the quality of the pavement. It does change from Ontario to Quebec, so we have seen athletes struggle with some extra potholes or things like that here and there. The city does its job to clean up as much as we can, but it's a different municipality in Quebec and different rules and different maintenance. So hopefully we'll see athletes stay safe.
You saw on the women's side there was a little bit of a hill there. It's the second hill of any substance on this track at about the 10K mark. Enough of a kick for the runners to feel it, but the rest of Quebec is going to be flat for the next 5K.
Absolutely, yeah. The hill that the women were running up is one that will start to set apart those who have done enough training and those who may have needed a little extra. It does start to feel it a little bit in the legs. It is a common hill that we're familiar with in the Ottawa community and that I will warn athletes about who are maybe a little underprepared for the event. For the elites, it should be completely manageable, but you never know. They're human just like us, believe it or not, and they experience the same sort of aches and pains as they mosey along. However, they don't show it in their faces like the average individual would.
So about 2 minutes ago, the lead men went through the 10-kilometer mark. There were about 7 or 8 of them. Abdi Galetu, John Langat, Demeke Tesfaye, Albert Career, Belai, Tillahan, Rory Linkletter, and CJ Albertson. So they're all about 30:09, somewhere around there, 30:07 to 30:09. And even in the last, we're almost at 3 minutes now past 10K, you can see it spreading apart a little bit. I think, those little undulations, the pacers are doing a good job of keeping the pace quite steady, but over undulations, that means the efforts are going to be up and down. And, the pacers are really committed to keeping that pace really solid, but you might see some of the racers, when you're going up a hill and the pace is very, it's very consistent, you might just back off a little bit, let them go a little bit on the uphill, and try to catch them on the slight downhill. So Rory coming off the back a little bit there. He did that at Boston, and watching Boston, I got a little worried. I'm like, oh no, he's coming off the back. It's going to be a tough. But he actually fought back really well and beat a few of the guys who stayed with that pack longer to finish sixth there at Boston. So it's not something I'm worried about right now. If that elastic band's getting a little wider and stretched out here and there through the undulations. Yeah, and that second pack of men still went through 10K in under 31 minutes. So that's Joseph Whalen and Tristan Woodfine. So Tristan would be our second Canadian man on course here.
Woodfine, a 31-year-old from Renfrew County, Ontario, 8th fastest Canadian marathoner of all time, ran Houston last year in 2:10:39. We talked about that 50-meter hill just shy of the 10-kilometer mark. 3:28 leading into the 10K, 3:21 for the following kilometer. So now that it's flattened out, we're seeing that pace really speed up.
Yeah, and you're seeing Rory come back closer to those pacers. He looks like he's fourth right now. As far as racers are concerned, he's sitting in second place behind Albert Carrier, right? So he's still very much in the mix. And if we look at what the top Canadian women have done so far in this race, so Anne-Marie Comeau is sitting in 11th, McKenna Fitzgerald in 13th, Claudine Soucy in 14th overall for the women, and McKenna Jackson in 15th. So you have 4 Canadian women from 11th to 15th right now.
There's the lead pack on the women's side. You mentioned Anne-Marie Comeau, again, a 28-year-old from Quebec. But what an athlete. Cross-country, skiing, an Olympian at Pyeongchang 2018. 5 years later, named Canada's Mountain and Trail Running Athlete of the Year. I mean, this is a true athlete we're talking about in Comeau.
Yeah, and she just loves racing, right? So it's a little challenging as a coach because she wants to do everything. She did the Canadian uphill mountain running championships the week before the Toronto Marathon last year, right? And I'm trying to figure out, how to combine the two. But she just has so much fun racing, and her partner JP has the record. He's also a national team member on the mountain running squad, so they're doing everything.
Jean-Philippe Thibodeau.
Yes, yeah. So Jean-Philippe Thibodeau, national team, like I said, national team member. He's competed at Worlds as well, and he's a good road racer in his own right. He's run 1:08 for the half, so he's out there today helping Anne-Marie set the pace.
You talked about the turns. We're seeing a lot of them, Jenna, on the lead men's side.
Yeah, again, this part of the course is just full of turns, left, right, center, and you can see that they're running through the shade here now, which would maybe providing a little bit of relief for them now with a slight break from the humidity perhaps. But there is quite a few turns here. I personally enjoy the sections of the races with lots of turns. It keeps the mind a bit distracted, especially in the long slogs that are the marathon, where it can be a bit arduous when you've got those long, straight stretches. So this does provide a little bit of excitement visually for athletes. Whether they're feeling that or experiencing that is based on their individual desires and expectations. But this part of the course does add that. It is a little bit quieter here with spectator support. So the Quebec side tends to draw a few less people. But the good news is as they start to approach the crossover to the Ontario side on a significant hill and one of the absolute best views of the entire city, it's going to start getting the loudest part of spectator support. So they will come from turns, quiet, and shade into absolute chaos.
That's when they'll be crossing the Alexandria Bridge, which also represents the third hill of real substance in this course.
Yeah, so you see the pacers on the men's side are really, they're still on the gas, and Albert Carrier is really tucked up. Rory looks really good when we saw him there from the side. He looks like he's pretty much tucked in. The elastic band has been stretching a little bit, but he looks very well within himself. He looks like he's still racing aggressively. CJ right behind him as well. So there you have like the top 5 guys on the screen there. 3 of them are racing, and they're probably, it's way too early to be thinking this, but they might be kind of looking around right now and thinking, these might be the top three, for the podium spots.
Linkletter has competed in Ottawa in the past 3 years. Ran a 28:40 in the 10K last May. That was a PB. So here you are, the lead men, and this is where it gets a little tricky. They're crossing the Alexandria Bridge to come back into Ottawa. The first 100 meters of this bridge is quite steep. You can see it. Great job by our camera crew here to kind of capture that. It's going to get flattened for about 600 meters, and then the next 300 meters or so, it's going to be a gradual climb, about a 4% incline. So that is how the runners are going to come back into Ontario and back into Ottawa.
Yeah, so this section is stunning. So you can't really see it on this view, but if you're familiar with the city, the view that you see if the athletes looked right, you see the river and Parliament buildings, the backside. If you look left, you can see Quebec, and you can see our Rockcliffe section of our city, where the Governor General's residence is, where the Prime Minister's residence is. Both directions are stunning. So this is such a beautiful part of the race, but very technically challenging and creating more divide with athletes with those inclines. So from the bottom of this hill, where you had that steep incline to start, now it's flattened out. It does gradually continue to incline all the way up to our National Gallery. So they will pass the National Gallery on the left. You'll see our big spider, Mama, who's there. We'll have some tourists there. And that artery going left across the National Gallery is really small. So there's not a lot of space for athletes. It'll be fine for the elite athletes. For the general population, it gets a little bit crowded. But that is where the crowds really lay it on thick. You have athletes that are going to be coming to and from in a couple hours on the out and back section, as well as the break-off point for the half marathon athletes that will begin at 9 a.m. So you get an opportunity, a vantage point to see elites coming in, general population going out, and half marathon athletes turning all at once. So you best believe that that crowd is just motivated. So it's personally one of my most favorite spots. This section of the course I warn athletes about because it is that gradual uphill, and you can see it happening again here now as they slowly make their way up across the National Gallery on their left, and they'll be turning onto Sussex Drive heading into Rockcliffe next.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the strengths and weaknesses of some of the top men here. So CJ Albertson actually just went ahead of the Pacers for a few strides on that downhill there. He's a good downhiller. He just sort of like, lets his legs go with the gravity there. And you also saw Rory. It looks as though Rory is really he's not going up the hills that fast. He's probably doing that on purpose to keep an even heart rate, so not to spike his effort levels. He's letting the pack go a little bit on the uphills, and he has so far caught back up to the lead pacers each time. He's kind of let them go a little bit. So the course from now on is a bit flatter than what we've seen, especially for the men. The women still are coming up to that bridge, but for the men, the course does flatten out now, and maybe you'll see the pack sort of stay a bit more consistent rather than somebody coming off here or there. But you can see Rory trailing a little bit. I'd normally be really worried about that, but watching him come back from Boston, I'm not as worried.
Totally.
He's a really tough competitor, and he still has his eyes set on that lead pack there. So Kevin is a good runner, and he must have fallen off that second kind of group of Canadians, and he's tucked in very well here with the lead women. Rory's doing a really convenient job for us staying with the lead men. We have 3 motorcycles on course, so we have one for the lead men, one for the lead women, and then one that would roam for the lead Canadian man or Canadian woman. And Rory's doing we often don't see a Canadian with the lead group, but Rory's that caliber of athlete that can do it. So yes, conveniently, so he's up there rolling with the lead group. I can't even remember the last time we've really had a lead man here rolling with the lead group. They bring in really good runners, like you said, from all over the world, typically Kenya, Ethiopia, and we usually don't have anybody that can keep up with him, but Rory's still in this almost an hour into the race.
Well, now that it's flattened out, we're seeing them speed up too. They've gone from 3:05 split to 2:55.
Wow.
From kilometer 16 to 17, now that they've gotten over that steep climb.
Yeah,
Temperatures have crept up to 9 degrees Celsius, although the humidity is over 90%. It was interesting talking to Rory Linkletter this week. He just said, look, these conditions, it's one less thing to worry about. He said it's as close to a lab setting that you're going to get in a road race. I thought that was a really interesting way of putting it. There's Anne-Marie Comeau, the lead Canadian, 4th career marathon for the Quebecer.
Yeah, she had a couple marathons before I coached her where she wasn't really that focused on them, and she still did really well. And then, her last couple of marathons have been 2:30, 2:34, and 2:35, so very competitive. And today she decided, training's been going well. She's going to go for a sizable PB. She has already run 1:11:53 for the half marathon this year.
Wow.
So it's it was a great marathon there towards the end of March, and since then she's just put her head down, trained hard, and that 5K of hers went really well 2 weeks ago in Quebec with a 15:54. So she's very ready, and she's committed to sort of like see how she can do with a sort of a 2:30, 2:31 pace here in Ottawa.
She looks super smooth running uphill. So the men here are coming through that raw cliff area, and lots of trees, lots of fresh air in this area. Whether that makes a difference or not, if they can feel it, it may. There are opportunities for shade here with those big trees and with a lot of the housing that they're going to go through in those the neighborhoods of Rockcliffe. Again, not making a huge difference today, but this section is really community oriented. I don't think they'll have them out for the lead men and women this morning, but oftentimes there are fire trucks that will bring their fire hoses out and
Really?
create little misting stations that you can run under. There are sponge stations for the general population, and then we see the residents of Rockcliffe out with their hoses with extra snacks, bananas, popsicles, freezies, donuts. So they really come to town and they really support athletes. I don't anticipate the elites taking advantage of those things, but the general population absolutely will grab a freezie and run through those fire hoses to cool down for sure.
Wow, this looks like a steep hill. So
Yeah, so
I remember
there-
watching this last year
yes.
and thinking.
There are sections of Rockcliffe that Rockcliffe is up on a hill. It is a community, a relatively affluent community where we see our leader of the opposition housing. We have embassies from all over the world in this area, and it is built on a series of hills. So there are small little inclines in this area, small false flats, a couple descents. So it depends. Like, again, if you are used to hills, if you can tackle them and get through them well, you'll barely notice. But if you are coming from a flat area, those athletes coming from, center of Canada, Saskatoon, will feel these hills.
And this looks like a decisive move for me. So we've seen the two pacers out front all day. That's Albert Carrier now with one of the pacers. So Albert is pushing the pace. Obviously, he's very strong on the hills. To New York City's a hilly marathon. He's won that. He's been second there. He's done really well in Boston. Rory's still giving chase here. You can see him. He's the next guy back. But it's one pacer and Albert Carrier out there. He's checking his watch, checking his splits, looking over to see what's going on. His stride doesn't really look affected. Like he's nursing a bad ankle or anything. Sometimes the adrenaline of the race can, be enough to get over like a slight injury like that. But he's putting it to them right now, and this could be a decisive move. We've seen Rory sort of back off on the uphills, like I said, and catch back up. So we'll see if Rory and CJ here are able to use the downhill and make some ground back up on Albert Carrier.
Albert Carrier, 31 years old, only began racing back in 2016. He made his debut in Barcelona. This is his first competition of 2025. Started as a runner back in 2010 as a teenager. It was his cousin who was running, Bena Kibe Echo. And Albert said, you know what, that's pretty fun. He said, it was my cousin who motivated me to run. Both of his brothers also were runners. And now Career has made this a career for himself. Coming off the ankle injury, he said, I learned a lot about discipline. I learned a lot about focus. And now here he is well out in front at around the midway point of the 2025 Tartan Ottawa Marathon.
And now they're coming in through the Governor General's residence. So a little bit higher security. Typically, we can see sometimes the Governor General's outside cheering on the athletes. You may even see Prime Minister Mark Carney standing by as well. You can see the extra police presence there. You go. We've got those cooling stations as well. But this area can be really special, especially for Canadians, seeing some of our federal representation cheering them on.
Prime Minister-elect Carney was a spectator yesterday for the 10K, living in a cottage on the property now at Rideau Hall, of course.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
There he is. Yeah.
In the blue sweater, waving. Yes, we see you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and you know what? That's such a blessing to run in the city, to have our leaders.
Isn't it?
Very,
just by himself outside on a Sunday morning.
Very Canada, yes, yes. The amount of times I've ran, through and across Parliament, and have ran into our party leaders, or have ran shoulder to shoulder in the past with former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. It's really special, and they're always running with their security detail, but only in Canada would that be available.
It is a good 100-meter lead at least for Albert Career.
He's broken away from his pacer.
Yeah, so Felix Koech, the pacer there, is in the hurt box. And he's probably thinking to himself, stay with him to get paid, stay with him to maximize my pacing duty. But at this point, I would think that Felix's best option is to wait for the next group and try to pace them a bit further. But the job is to stay with the leaders. But Albert looks very strong right now.
Let him go.
And he's on a tear.
So the athletes are now on the switch back into the city. So you're going to see on the right-hand side of the lead men our elite athletes. On the left-hand side, you're going to see the faster runners from the general population. So those athletes that are 3:30 or less approaching the Rockcliffe section of this event. Many people won't be able to see those elite athletes getting into that finishing section on the canal. But there will be a handful of individuals, as you can see, that are passing them now, that are going to be rooting them on and cheering them on. And as they approach back into the center of Ottawa, again, those crowds are going to start to swell, especially with larger crowds accumulating for the general population athletes, as there are more of them.
Needless to say, he has picked up the pace. And I mean, if you look, you can kind of see Rory and CJ back there. The Pacers behind Albert, but even beyond that, Rory and CJ, and you kind of have to really squint and to make those two figures out. So there's a very sizable lead, and we're past halfway in the marathon right now. So it's when things separate here and they're going in this direction, it's very hard to come back from a gap like that. So, for instance, that we're getting half marathon splits. So he was 1:03.12 at halfway. Simple math here. We're looking at a 2:06.24 marathon time if he keeps that same pace up. So 2:06.24. That is 20 seconds off the course record pace here. So maybe he's got that in sights. There's I kind of lied earlier, said that the hills were done. It's actually from 25K on that it's a bit more of a flatter course. So theoretically, the second half of the course could be faster, and maybe he's eyeing that course record. Yeah. So the lead women who are in the thick of it still, we have Paige Wood from the U.S., Fantu Shugi from Ethiopia, Meseret Gebre and Salem Fente also from Ethiopia, and then 2 Kenyans, Visaline Jekesho and Mercy Chelangat, who we talked about a bit more earlier with the NCAA career at the University of Alabama, having run 108 already this year in Houston, making her debut here. So you can see the 22-kilometer mark. Max Turek looks like he had a little fun on the sprinkler. Nobody else really took the wider line for that, but you know,
Well,
Max,
we see the Prime Minister again on the right here. That's the question as they come to the Governor General's headquarters.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's going to hang out there for the majority of the event. And Prime Minister has run this event before, so he's familiar with the course. He's familiar with the pulse of the whole weekend. Our mayor is also out running the marathon right now. Recently crossed the 15K point, I believe. But we've got all of our representation out this morning. Not all of them, but we've got a lot of big, important individuals either spectating or physically participating in our events.
So the lead women remains a very competitive race. I want to talk about Mercy Chelangat, the 27-year-old first Ottawa marathon. What a story Chelangat is. She's from Kenya and landed at the University of Alabama, where she wrapped up her college career. She actually started at Texas, UT Rio Grande Valley, transferred to Alabama in the spring of 2019. She only started running 2 years prior to that in high school, and then got identified, and she said everything was really new for me in college. I said to her, "You actually ran at SCC Alabama?" She looked at me, she said, "Roll Tide." So I said, "Yeah, you actually did." But she says now this is a job, and she says it's gone from, you know, a bit of a hobby and an activity that it means a lot to me. And she said, "My coaches pushed me so much in college." Now her training headquarters in Flagstaff, Arizona. She does strength training as part of it, high mileage every day. She's a second-generation runner. Dad ran in high school, and here she is almost 7 years in North America, where she's making her marathon debut. It's Albert Carrier and nobody else in the lead men of this 2025 Tartan Ottawa Marathon. They tell us his last kilometer was 2:45.
That's a little more believable. It's still surprisingly fast. It doesn't look like he's running 2:45 right now, but for him to surge at 2:45 is something that could very well happen in a race. And then he would just settle back into more of that like 3 flat per kilometer sort of average that he's been doing.
So you can see that chase group in behind, significant ways behind. What would be, with someone like Rory Linkletter, who is gunning for a win today, which may not be in the reach now. I mean, again, things could change, but what would be going through his head now, knowing that maybe that opportunity is not as accessible as it was early on in this race? Would he, you know, be battling maybe some demons here, or do you think he's resetting his mind to hit that second place spot?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's so many things going through your head, right? Especially when you're starting to hurt. You're trying to like overcome that negative talk with positive talk.
There he is.
You know,
yeah.
he's still, he's still competitive with CJ. So there's probably like a little bit of like, even if they were in, 7th and 8th spot, he might still, be looking to get the best of him. But yeah, right now, like to finish on the podium at the Ottawa Marathon is a big deal, right? So, right now you're looking at 2nd, 3rd, 4th place. One of these guys is not gonna be on the podium, and the difference between prize money in 2nd and 4th will probably be significant. Interestingly enough, we saw CJ take that tangent correctly. He started moving to the left-hand side of the road before the other two. They kind of looked over and saw CJ do that, and then followed suit. So, CJ's got his eyes up on the road. And of course, in the back of their head, they're probably thinking, is Albert's ankle going to hold up? Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, hopefully it does. But maybe if you're sitting there in 2nd place, you're thinking,
yeah,
maybe you could give out.
And there are a few more turns coming up. This part of the canal that they're on is well maintained, recently paved, so there's not a lot of opportunity for ankle sprains or potholes or things like of that nature. We did see on the way in this morning several Canadian geese that were itching to cross left and right. So, you know, the only distraction there may be a goose or two that wants to cross, but we've got volunteers to help them along. But Career is in for really good conditions based on road quality here. But we do have those turns coming up and along the Bronson Bridge, as well as an out and back, which requires some sharper turns. So hopefully it holds up for him, but you never know, like you said.
Yeah, and we were talking about Flagstaff. Of course, Rory is based in Flagstaff. He's been there for a little while and training with the Verde Track Club. And the other competitor up there with CJ and Rory is Demeke Tesfaye. So he's an Ethiopian. He's a very experienced runner. He actually looks quite. I mean, just looking at his stride, he looks quite comfortable. I don't think he's going anywhere soon. These guys have to watch out. Maybe he's going to be the next one to make a move here.
Tesfaye, 24 years old, ran Amsterdam in 2:11:48 earlier this year with Linkletter, who is holding on to second place. He came into this year, he had two main goals. Top 10 finish at a major, which he checked off in Boston, finishing 6th, and he said to win a race. But then when we chatted this week, one thing that Linkletter talked about, he said, I don't want Boston to be the highlight of my year. He said, I want that to be kind of the launching pad as CJ takes the advantage on him. Linkletter, remember, competed for Canada at the Paris Olympics last summer, finished 47th. He called that a wake-up call. He said it was humbling to get crushed, and that's when he went back to the lab to kind of figure out what the next steps of his career would be. Linkletter admitted, look, I thought I arrived by making the Olympics. I found out that I needed an edge, and he said, post-Paris was a disappointment, but he said it made me look at this year as taking the next step towards LA 2028.
I think the work that he put in has certainly paid off. I hope that he finds the success he's looking for today, but that Boston finish for me as a fan was incredible. I was on my feet at home. I was yelling at my TV. I thought it was an extraordinary finish for him. So to go beyond that and to set a new highlight for the year, I'm really interested and curious to see what his next steps are after this event, or even the result of this event in light of that. So he's got really amazing big aspirations and goals, and it's well within his reach. So whatever he's working on and whatever he's doing seems to be paying off.
Meanwhile, on the women's side, it's starting to show some gaps between the leader and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, that group of about 6 women that were tucked in behind the Pacers, looks to be dwindling a little bit. You can see a few falling off. Looks like Paige Wood has fallen off just slightly, only a few seconds back, but a few seconds back, and when you're not with the group, it can seem quite daunting.
Pan flat along the canal right here.
Yeah, so right now we're just looking at Tesfaye there from Ethiopia. He actually ran the Mumbai Marathon earlier this year, and although the time didn't look that impressive at 2:11:56, he was only about 12 seconds off the lead at that Mumbai Marathon in January. So if you look at these other two guys, it's also their second marathon, but that was only 5 weeks ago. So Tesfaye, I would say, has the upper hand as far as being able to recover and doing a full sort of marathon build-up with the January 19th Mumbai Marathon.
For a moment there, I thought he was wearing cargo shorts just based on the color of his shorts. I did a double take. But,
it wouldn't be a bad plan to, if you needed to hold a couple extra gels, but
yeah.
A lot of these shorts will have a couple little secret pockets,
yeah.
and it's not uncommon for the elites, even though you're getting bottles, to have a gel on you in case you miss that bottle.
Sure.
Or someone may have taken your bottle and you show up to a table and you don't see anything.
No surprises.
If you have that secret gel in your back pocket, you can use that and keep fueling yourself for the duration of the marathon.
So for those watching at home that may not be familiar with the elite field and the rules, there's quite a few, not necessarily different rules than the general population, but stricter, more maintained. Obviously, they're more upfront and more visible. Athletes cannot accept help or aid from anybody on the course, including extra energy gels, any extra water, things like that. So they aren't able to accept assistance from coaches aside from their designated bottles or what they bring with them, as well as some strict anti-doping policies as is standard across these events. At the end of the race, though, the top contenders will be screened for doping, as well as some random selection as well. So these athletes are under some strict monitoring and strict rules, but they are prepared for them.
Just trying to read the bib of the top women there. Our pace is still sort of in the way, but one of those athletes is Fantu Shugi from Ethiopia. She's already run a 1:11:03 half marathon in Riyadh earlier this year.
That got her a silver.
Yeah, and then I think the other runner is Meseret Gebra, who's already run the Dubai Marathon this year. So 2:27 at Dubai. Last fall she was 2:24 in Toronto. So she knows Canada. She knows how to travel over here well and compete on Canadian soil.
Gebra won the Barcelona Marathon in 2022, lives in Addis Ababa, made the trip from Ethiopia, as you said.
So yeah, we see, I'm not sure where Mercy Chelangat is, but she fell off that pace. Paige Wood, no longer around either. But yeah, we still have we have two Ethiopians tucked behind our pacer there, and Max Turek, who was the second pacer, peeled off in the last few minutes. So they just have one pacer to work with, and I don't blame Andrew or Max for peeling off. They had very, very fast 10Ks last night, 28:17 and 28:34 for the two of them. So it's a big weekend for them.
Sammy Karongo is the pacer for the lead women. Again, it's a 2:23 pace. Just shy of an hour to go. There. Meanwhile, Albert Carrier is out in front on the men's side, but he is starting to slow down. His last 2 kilometers have been 3:01, 3:11 respectively. It is a comfortable cushion ahead of Rory and CJ, but Carrier's with 12 kilometers to go, it'll be interesting as he takes a peek over his left shoulder to see if anyone's in his vicinity. Again, if you're just joining us, that's the New York City Marathon winner who's been dealing with an ankle issue. Had to skip Boston this year because of it, and this is his first competition of 2025.
Still 60 meters away.
Yeah, and he's looking over his shoulder quite a bit there. Like, I feel like every 10 to 15 seconds he's giving a little peek. He wants to know where they are.
He's laboring.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the point in the course, in the race that really gets hard. So he's been running, for over 90 minutes here, running close to course record pace. He's put in some surges to get rid of his competitors. And, if you're looking over your shoulder that much, you probably want to try to win this race as easy as possible, right? So he doesn't want to cook himself, right? So he's looking for that right balance. Yeah. There he goes, looking over again. He's looking for that balance to keep those guys at bay. There's 3 of them working together. They have the advantage of the group. He's got the obviously advantage of being way up the road. So he doesn't want to let those guys get close to him where they can sort of smell, like the blood, and he also doesn't want to go so fast and increase that lead where he perhaps blows up. So he's checking over his shoulder and trying to keep a healthy lead on those 3 guys.
That's got to be taxing, not only physically, but mentally, to know that you are being chased. You're being chased, you have a lead. There's a lot on the line here with, 30 minutes, give or take, plus 30 minutes here left. So still a significant amount of work left, but holding that significant lead, knowing the injuries you've sustained, knowing that those individuals still have power in their legs and may make a move on you. Not only do you need to, maintain that burn through the whole body, but stay sane mentally and not get ahead of yourself. So a lot going on, and these are why these are elite athletes, because they can manage that discomfort.
There's a look at McKenna Fitzgerald, the number 2 Canadian female at this stage of the 2025 Tartan Ottawa Marathon. Fitzgerald, a 25-year-old from Kamloops, BC, being paced by Olivier Roy Bayargeron. It was Fitzgerald who ran the 10K here last year, did it in 34:10. This is McKenna's second career marathon. She ran Sacramento last December in 2:36:54. Fitzgerald's an interesting story. She was a hockey player in high school, didn't pick up cross-country running until she enrolled in university at Queen's. She was the only female on the track team when she went to do grad school at SAIT in Calgary. Ended up becoming a 3-time national champion at SAIT. Biochem grad. She's a medical professional now as a diagnostic medical sonographer, and here she is in her second career marathon as the number 2 Canadian at the 96-minute mark.
Yeah, and here's a look at our lead woman, Meseret Gebra. So, unless there's somebody else tucked in, which I don't think so, or is there? Is it just one?
No,
one
it's just
athlete?
her.
Yeah,
Just
one
her.
athlete behind our pacer. So Meseret, like we said, she's already done a marathon this year. She was 2:24 last year in the Toronto Waterfront Marathon, and it looks like a quite sizable lead now. The next athlete there is Arnaud Franconi, and I think that Shugi, her compatriot from Ethiopia, is the second place woman. You can see on the screen, but quite a ways back. Yeah, so now we're looking over at Anne-Marie Comeau, our lead Canadian woman. She went through halfway in 1:16, right? So she's on a 2:32 pace. She's checking her splits. Jean-Philippe JP right in front of her, her partner. They train together. I'll often give them both workouts, and I give JP free rein. And lately he's been doing a lot of them just with Anne-Marie at her pace, getting her ready for this race before JP moves on to really focus on the trails later on this summer. Yeah, Albert Carrier's 30K split was still quite good, 1:30:18. They're calling Rory, Demeke Tesfaye, and CJ Albertson all at 1:30:40, so they're 22 seconds back. This happened about 10 minutes ago on the course. That was at 1 hour 30 minutes. They're at an hour 41 into this race. We still see Albert looking over his shoulder.
He's looking over and over.
And
Yeah.
he's checking his, I think he's got a watch on there. I'm not sure if he's checking that, but it seems to be in intervals. Look down, look back, look down, look back.
Yeah, he could have his GPS on. He could be looking at his, his lap pace, his commute pace for the whole run. But his 30K split is still showing that he's been averaging about 3 minutes per kilometer. That's going through 10K in 30 minutes 3 times in a row, and so he's gonna hopefully do it 4 times in a row and challenge this course record.
And you were talking about looking at their faces. I can see a little bit of a grimace maybe on his face, that mouth opening a little wider. So he's hustling here. There is a fire in his belly, and he is looking to get that win.
Yeah, for sure. When he was pushing up that hill, he was working for it, and
Yeah.
he's been in the hurt box since. But he still looks like he's moving quite well. So he's just digging deep for for the last 10K here.
And these are these like false flats. So this is an area where it's flat, but that slight incline is going to fatigue the legs more. So he might look down and see his pace shift naturally, just inches back. But that's when he has to find that expertise and that power in his legs and just pick it up just to compensate for that slight undulation as the canal moves up and down.
So right now, we're looking at the lead man, Albert Carrier, looking over his shoulder, grimacing. He is hurting, but he's still keeping a really fast pace. And then looks like Rory is he's distancing himself from CJ now. So Rory is even though he's dropped off, the same thing at Boston. I got worried when he dropped off the pace, and then I saw him storm back. So his his ability to push the end of a marathon is remarkable. He looks very strong there. I mean, if you just looked at the two pictures, you know, I would say Albert looks like he's struggling more than Rory is. I mean, Albert's up the road, so you know, he's got the advantage. But Rory just looks like he's got an aggressive stride still, and just his composure looks like he's still like driving for home. Whereas Albert looks like he's thinking, can this finish line come any sooner, please?
Well, let's get over to the lead women because we have a little bit of a development. Meseret Gebre, who had a nice, comfortable lead, it is really dwindled, and our crew out there on the track say it got within 15 meters, and now as you see, right there is competition with the lead women. It is neck and neck at the hour 48 mark of this marathon.
So this is, I find this very interesting because Andrew Alexander's back in the picture. So I thought he had dropped off, but he knows the rules. He did not drop out and then jump back in the course. So he would have drifted back with some of the other women, and he was out of our picture, and now he's brought you know, another competitor right back up into the mix, and now we have two women up there.
It's a really interesting portrayal of that pacer's job, you know, and their role in finding success for these elite athletes, and you know, the effort that they put in as well, especially having done that fast 10K yesterday.
Yeah, and it is Mercy Changala. I thought it was. So Mercy, you know, an athlete we talked about a bunch because she's had such a good career, but this is her debut, right? So, you know, she may have gotten, you know, deep into the marathon around halfway and thought, oh my goodness, like there's still a lot of running to go, and it seems a bit too much. And then, you know, as the race progressed, and you know, she got to that 30K mark, now may feel like, okay, I do feel confident that I can keep a good pace towards the end. So, you know, at 30K. They split 141.22 and 141.36. So she was 14 seconds back at, you know, about 7 or 8 minutes ago, and she's clawed her way back to be even now with Meseret Gebre. So we have this is really interesting. You know, when Meseret ran away from Fantu, I thought that was the winning move right there, and Mercy, our debutante, is right in the mix, and who knows? Maybe we're watching that on the men's side too, with Rory looking.
He's catching up.
Looking so good, and he's focused on Albert, and Albert's really focused on his watch and looking back at Rory too, right? So like that's, you know, if I was, you know, in the lead, or if I was in second place and the leader was looking over his shoulder every once in a while, that would give me motivation.
I think he noticed.
To go and catch that guy.
More than once in a while.
Yes.
It has been ongoing from career. We talked to Linkletter this week. He said, it would mean more to me that I won a race with Albert in it. He said it makes the stakes bigger, and you can see the pace increasing here for Rory Linkletter. The 28-year-old from Calgary looked like he'd faded off, looked like career was running away with it, but the Canadian is staying in the fight.
Yeah, so at 35K, which was the last split that we have, Rory was 27 seconds back of him, 27, 28 seconds back, so half a minute. So from 35K to 42K, you know, that's 7.2K to make up, you know, about, you know, say 30 seconds is quite significant at this pace. Having said that, if you bonk towards the end of the marathon, you know, you can easily let 5-10 seconds per kilometer catch up on you. So I would say I'd still bet on career, but I would not count Rory out by any means at this point.
Meanwhile, on the lead woman, Meseret Gebre has given up the lead to Mercy Chelengad, and this is Chelengad who's really put an emphasis on her training over the last 6 months or so. Admittedly, it's now a 24/7 commitment. Sleep, recovery, mobility, recovery. Talking to her coach, Jack Mullaney, Jack said, The person she wants to be in the race is the person she is in training. They've put a real emphasis on strength and durability, and they've said in the last 10K of races, that's where the payoff has come. You're seeing it here in Ottawa, coming up on an hour and 53 minutes, that it's Chellengat taking over on that side. We'll continue to keep you posted on what's happening as Albert Carrier still holds the advantage as the lead man. Joining us, that's Mercy Chellengat of Kenya, who now trains in Flagstaff, Arizona. Her first Ottawa marathon, 27 years young. Chellengat's brother Vincent came over from Kenya to run track at the University of Alabama. He's now a nurse in Colorado Springs. And because her brother was running, Mercy decided to get into the sport. Did some training camps in Kenya, joined up with an organization called Scalabook, and they connected with some U.S. coaches. They posted some time trials in the 3K and the 5K. So Mercy ended up moving to Texas UT Rio Grande Valley University. That was in the fall of 2018. She transferred to Alabama following in her brother's footsteps in the spring of 2019, and then turned pro when her university career ended. High mileage every day, she says, when she moved to Flagstaff. They've added the strength training. She spent now almost 7 years in North America. This is Chellengat's marathon debut, and she said, I need to get used to the distance. And here comes the payoff for somebody who has been grinding at it. Coming up on the 2-hour mark, she has a comfortable lead at the 2025 Tartan Ottawa Marathon. That is Albert Carrier, his first competition of 2025, coming off an ankle injury that forced him to miss the Boston Marathon. He's not 100%, had a comfortable lead, it's shortened, and now it's widened again as we come up on the 2-hour mark. Carrier, 31 years old. His last race was in November in New York, when he won it all. He came into this a little stressed. He wasn't quite sure where the ankle would be, but now Carrier has a lead over that man on the right, Rory Linkletter of Calgary, the 28-year-old who finished 6th in Boston. And Linkletter's got a comfortable hold on second place at this stage of things.
Yeah, these guys just went through 40 kilometers about a minute ago. So they have about 1,500 meters left of racing, and you know, that gap looks too big now. I mean, Rory looks great. He's finishing super strong. He's gotten rid of the 3rd and 4th place runners, but he won't catch Albert here. And Albert is doing as much as he can to stay in front. He's hurting. He's looking over his shoulder, but he looks like he's going to be a repeat winner. He won this race 6 years ago, and then back for more this year.
He's right at the end here, that final cheer station. You can tell he's hugging that close as the course is going to start to round through the left.
One of the top championship racers of his generation, Albert Carrier.
And so he was 2:01.18 at 40K. You know, typically you're going to have about six some odd minutes of running. So I'm going to guess Albert will probably be at 2:07 something, which is a very fast time on this course.
When he won it in 2019, it was 2:08.03.
Yeah, so he might be a little bit ahead of that. We'll see when he crosses the line, and Rory will likely have the fastest Canadian time ever on this course, probably by a few minutes.
Men's course record 2:06.04 in 2022. We may not get there today, but we're going to be pretty close.
Linkletter said his mindset coming into today, not to hold back. Do whatever it takes to win. He called this Ottawa course and competition a proving ground.
Yes, and you did mention he's glad Albert's here. It makes the competition that much more stiffer.
Increases the stakes.
Yes,
said.
it totally does. But part of me wonders right now if he wished Albert hadn't twisted his ankle in Boston, and he would just be winning the Ottawa Marathon. there are really good marathoners who go through their whole career without winning a marathon race. You don't do that many, and if you're someone of Rory's caliber and you're doing very competitive races like Ottawa and Boston, in Toronto, and whatever he plans to do in the fall, and the Olympics and the World Champs. There's not that many opportunities to actually win a race. So this would have been a very good opportunity for him to do it. And unfortunately, he's up against a New York City champion. Albert Carrier is 2 for 1 against Tamarit Tola, who's the Olympic champion. So he's got a winning record over some of the best marathoners in the world. So he's up there with the best. And if Albert had the opportunity to run on a very fast course like a Berlin, a Chicago, I'm sure he'd have a much faster PB, but in the last few years he's focused on Boston and New York, which aren't necessarily, they aren't fast courses. So he's up there. So now we're really like in the closing stages of Albert Carrier's run here.
This is that final turn, and he'll see those barricades towards the finish line, and that's when that we'll get that finishing moment for him.
Yeah, so he'll be hard pressed to still be in the 207s, I believe. He'll. Oh wow! Look at Roy.
He's chasing him.
It looks very close.
It looks close.
But these camber angles can be deceiving.
But Linkletter's going for it.
He's going
for it.
He's not giving an inch.
Those shoulders are up. We are moseying along. I haven't seen any shoulder checking from Carrier. Oh, there it is. Never mind. I spoke too soon. He's got to look the other way.
One of the best championship racers of his generation. Top 6 3 times in Boston, Albert Carrier returns to the nation's capital. Rory Linkletter right there, but he won't do it this year, not in 2025.
But he's made a lot of ground on him. He's only about 10 seconds back now. Like that last split that we had, he was 30 seconds back. So here we go. Here's the finish line.
The champion in New York, and now the Carrier has a second Ottawa title. Albert crosses first in 2025.
Great run. So 2:08.21, similar time it was when he won 6 years ago. It looks like he probably gave up some time there at the end. He was on 2:07 pace. And Rory, like I said, like 2:08 on this course versus his Seville. I know this is not his PB, his official PB, nor is it's his third fastest official time, but it's just as good as his other 2 runs.
Congratulations to Rory Linkletter. The top Canadian finishes second overall, the 28-year-old. As we see CJ Albertson, the American, cross the line third. 1, 2, 3 with 3 heavyweight runners. One of the most competitive races that this marathon has had. For Chellengat, there are a lot of signs that show the marathon will be her best event. Again, she's early in her career. When you speak with people around her, they'll tell you the longer the distance, the better she does, and showing that now at the age of 27 here in Ottawa.
So now we go back to our lead Canadian women. Anne-Marie Comeau is still there with her pacer, Jean-Philippe Thibodeau, and he's doing a great job of just maintaining a consistent pace. It doesn't look like there's anybody else around her. I can't see any competitors behind. I'm not sure if she is caught up to anybody in that lead pack who fell off or not, but she's looking really strong. I'm gonna do a quick pace calculation and come back and see if she's on pace for a PB. Especially, as her coach, I would love to see Anne-Marie run a PB today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she looks just as smooth as she did when we were chatting about her back through that Quebec section. She doesn't look like she's struggling any more or less. Mind you, she definitely will be, but she looks smooth, she looks comfortable. It doesn't look like she's fighting the course or the event at all. Again, once we hear from her, I'm sure the opinion will be different, but it's really refreshing to see such strong Canadian legs. So close to the finish line now. She's just past Bank Street not too long ago. is up, running north towards that finish line in that full heat, full sun. So she is so close to getting into that finish line view.
She just keeps chugging along and looks great. It's going to be really interesting to see how, her career is. This going to be something similar to Albert, where, Albert wins Ottawa, gets his name out there, gets into the New York and Boston fields and really, mixes it up with the best in the world. And this could be the springboard for Mercy as well. She might win Ottawa. We've seen, past Toronto and Ottawa champions use that as a springboard. The big marathons, they see, like a New York City marathon, they see these results, and if you're able to win here in Ottawa, you're able to mix it up with the New York marathon elites,
Yeah, definitely.
and then if you see someone win, it's just like it's a great story. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to springboard Mercy to a really good marathon career.
Mercy Chelangat running away with it here at the Ottawa Marathon. Chelangat in the home stretch, where she is going to win her first career marathon here today, Jenna.
Yeah, one more kilometer-ish to go here. I'm going to take a quick moment here before that finish just to acknowledge these women. And I know that the city has really put in a lot of effort in acknowledging and representation with diversity and supporting our women. The Run Ottawa community also now creating and championing events that are specifically for elite women. And I know that the crowd down here, and this is me getting choked up once, the third time today. I know the crowd, it means a lot to have these strong women represented from Canada and from all over the world. And hats off to Run Ottawa for championing diversity in our race and encouraging women in sport. As well as our addition of a non-binary field this year. So great job to Run Ottawa for continuing to get these women seen and to the finish line with such support.
The 40K split for Mercy Chelangat was 2:15:55. That puts her at 3:24 pace, so 3 minutes 24 seconds per kilometer, which would give her a 3:23 mid. So she's looking at a 3:23 mid debut here at the Ottawa Marathon. This is a great debut, and she's put a lot of distance as well on some athletes who have had run very fast times. It looks like Meseret Gebra fell off this pace. Visaline Jip Kesho, her compatriot from Kenya, has taken over second spot. Can't see her on the screen, but the splits are saying that Visaline has overtaken Meseret for that second spot.
In a lot of ways, you get the sense that this is the arrival of the next one.
And there she is making that turn, starting to approach those barricades where the crowds will have undoubtedly gathered to watch her finish. Now, Reed, will we see her pacer drop off before the finish?
Yeah, usually they do. Actually, a lot of times they ask the pacers to drop off at about 40K, especially if there's a race still going on, right? You don't want a pacer in there if there's two women still battling.
Sure.
And then of course you just want to give, at this point, the race photo. You don't want the pacer in the race photo. So at this point he should peel off and just let Mercy run in it alone and get the cheers of the crowd. Like, you mentioned before that you're going to see the barricade soon, and the crowds are going to get much thicker, and she really doesn't need a pacer.
No, she's good.
In the last few hundred meters.
She's being chased by, I think, a friend or a teammate there on the side and smiling as well. So she's definitely getting some crowd support from folks that she knows.
The pace was 2:23. The target, bang on.
Yeah, they just clocked over the 2:23 flat mark, but I think she can still be under 2:24 here. As like you said, once you see the barricades, you're in the final couple hundred meters, and we'll see where it finishes. She's run 31:15.
There, he's letting her go.
So she's got a fast 10K time. She's got the 1:08 half, and now she's going to have a 2:23 to her name. This is a great debut.
Showing no mercy for the field. Chelangat, the champion in Ottawa. First career marathon title in the books.
No, she's such a lovely person. I'm so thrilled for her.
The embrace with her coach, Jack Mulhaney. Made the trip from Minnesota. Mercy Challengat. They said the longer the distance, the better she does. The payoff comes today in the Tartan, Ottawa Marathon. Meanwhile, top Canadian Anne-Marie Comeau.
And we haven't had a second place come in yet.
No, second place woman at the 40K mark was 4 minutes behind Mercy.
Okay, wow.
So you're not likely to see someone come through until 2:27, 2:28, and it's still only 2:25 on the clock. And I think we're seeing second place coming here. I mentioned Visseline Jepkesho overtook Meseret Gebra for second. So here she comes in. 4.5 minutes in arrears of Mercy Challengat. So second place also from Kenya, Visseline Jepkesho.
Number 73 in the world rankings, Jepkesho. She was the winner in Paris back in 2017, the runner-up here in Ottawa in 2025. Still doing it at age 37.
So here we have one of the elite men coming in, Francois Jarry. A very good marathoner in his own right. Probably not what he wanted to see today, but still going strong to the end. And then I believe that's the third place woman that we're seeing on the screen there. So Meseret Gebra.
Led for the first half or so of the race.
Yeah, at one point, I'm pretty sure I thought she had the win locked up when she got away from her compatriot Fantu Shugi. I thought that was the winning move, but it looks like she faded quite. She's probably feeling. I'm gonna guess maybe not fueled up. If you're losing that much energy towards the end, but yeah, she faded, and she's just knowing she's still gonna get on the podium there. She's not giving up, but also not fighting for every second.
Canadian women making the top 10 women right now with Anne-Marie Comeau, McKenna Fitzgerald, and Claudine Soucy.
So Meseret Gebra will finish third in 2025 here in Ottawa. Strong start, and will reach the podium, the Ethiopian.
She looks tired too. Rightfully so. 42K is no easy feat.
And under 2:31. And there is Anne-Marie Comeau, the Canadian, will finish as the top Canadian.
And now the question remains, will she break 2:33? It would be really nice to have a 2:32 PB by her name. That would put her in some pretty rare company in Canada right now. And of course, you have Melindy and Natasha with their 2:23, 2:24 up there, and Leslie Sexton's on 2:28. But then once you get Rachel Hanna, who ran last night, she's got 2:32 PB, former medalist at the Pan Am Games. But 2:32 kind of puts you in that upper echelon. Nothing wrong with 2:33 either, but I'm just sort of like
great,
really,
amazing.
really hoping to see that 2:32, and that she's going to be like
she's close,
right on that edge there. So hopefully she's. Looks like the lead bikes. Letting everyone know that the lead Canadian woman's coming through, and she'll get great cheers. And
oh yeah.
She can probably see the finish line banner from here. And
so what happens, Reed, in these last 100 meters, 200 meters? You're top Canadian. Do you feel, myself as an athlete, I've cried only a handful of times at the end. Do you feel that emotion? Do you feel that what goes through your head in these moments? Do you, you're also male, so expectations are low.
When I'm running myself, I don't really feel those emotions. I would feel more emotional watching someone overcome something and watching them, break the line or finish or whatnot. This is a sizable PB for Anne-Marie and a really great run. As
Congratulations
As a
to
Canadian,
her.
I'm happy, and of course as a coach, it's really great to see her PB by over a minute.
Well over a minute. 2:34.51 had been the PB. She'll break that by a good 90 seconds. And there's Steven Anderson, the elite race coordinator, handing the maple leaf over to the 28-year-old Anne-Marie Comeau.
Incredible. Reed, you've done a great job as a coach. A little plug for Reed Coolsat as elite endurance coach if you're ever looking for one. Your athletes are doing great this weekend.
How about that? Winter Olympian 2018, top Canadian 2025. Anne-Marie can do it in all seasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we missed a bunch of the lead men that came in. So there's McKenna Fitzgerald. This is going to be our second place woman. She actually looks really good. Like
So strong.
This deep into the race, she's smiling. She's not. Doesn't look like she's struggling that much. As Arash mentioned earlier, she's newer to running, and I think this. She's got a good career ahead of her.
Three-time national champion at the CCAA level. And now here's McKenna Fitzgerald, only 25 years old, is going to finish as the top 2 Canadian in this Tartan, Ottawa Marathon.
Yeah, and not only top 2 Canadian, but it looks like she's going to be about 7th overall.
She's killing it. She looks so comfortable.
She may have actually passed 6th there. I'm not sure, but she's in 6th or 7th place overall. This is great to see. So she did run 2:36 in Sacramento, but that really is a fast course. It's a net downhill course. This is not. So even though her time might be a bit slower today, as far as a performance goes, it's kind of on par. So there's Phyllis Ongore. Ongore's Kenyan, but she's been living in Canada for quite some years. She's has had really good results about 10 years ago, and she's still running well. She was about 237, 236 or 237 last year at the Toronto Waterfront Marathon. So she's going to kind of be on that same sort of performance again today. But it's a bit far off of what she was doing about 10 years ago when she was running 223 and finishing high up at the Boston Marathon.
I think McKenna is sitting in 6th right now, if I'm not mistaken, which is incredible. What an amazing finish for our top 2 Canadian women. And
Yeah,
she's motoring here at the finish.
Yeah, it's always nice to double dip into that. The prize money there. 4th place paying $4,000, 5th $2,000, 6th $1,000. So McKenna will get $1,500 for 2nd Canadian and another $1,000 for 6th overall, and 2:37.57. That's nice that she got over that 2:38 mark. That's to me that's just as good as her race in Sacramento last year. So
she looks okay too.
She looks good doing it.
Okay.
Yes.
So strong. She's smiling. She's upright. She looks healthy.
We came into this thing expecting Albert Carrier to win, and he did. Little bit of question because of the ankle, but the former New York City champion does it here in Ottawa for a second time, and then Mercy Chalunga, in her debut in the marathon, just absolutely sent a message to the running world that she's here and she's here to stay.
Yeah, she looks like a marathoner.
Yeah.
So she's had the 31:15 10K under her belt and the 1:08 half. And now that she's done her first marathon, it looks like this is an event that she can do well at, and it will be a springboard to a good marathon career.
So let's take a look at the official standings here. We have the top 5 for both the men and the women. Let's start with the men's side. Obviously, Carrier. That was the story today, but Rory Linkletter of Calgary was right there, and just when it looked like Carrier was running away with it, it was Linkletter who just wouldn't really give in and finished about 10 seconds behind.
Yeah, what a close 1st and 2nd. Really impressive. Rory, you could tell that fire was there. He didn't quit. There wasn't any hesitation with him. It'll be interesting to see how he feels with those post-race interviews, but he did a really great job today.
Yeah, we saw him battle right to the end at Boston and pick off a couple of guys. in the last few hundred meters, and he brought that again today, where he was 30 seconds back of career with a few kilometers ago, and he made up 20 seconds in the last few kilometers, which is really tough at the end of the marathon. So there was no quitting in him, and a 2:08:31 on the Ottawa course versus his official PB of 2:08:01, I think, in Seville. This is just as good, given that he didn't have a pack to run in the whole way. He was just sort of chasing. So that's a really good result for Rory moving forward.
Linkletter talked about his goals being top 10 finish at a major, which he got in Boston this year, and then winning a race. And obviously, silver is not gold. What do you learn from a day like today, going up against a competitor like Career?
Yes, I mean, Career, like I said before, he's 2 for 1 against Tamrat Tola, the Olympic champion, right? He's won New York City Marathon. So he's beaten the best runners in the world, and Rory's 10 seconds back, right? So that's got to be a good confidence boost for Rory, knowing that he can finish 6th at the Boston Marathon and 5 weeks later really replicate another performance at that level. It shows that he's moving in the right direction. He's still young, 20 years old. I never ran my first marathon until I was 29. He already has a bunch of really good marathons under his belt, so it'll be really cool to see what he does in the next year and moving up to LA in 2028.
To have 2 Canadian women finish as well as they did.
So great. And they were so a pleasure to watch too. The interaction with the crowd and watching their calm and composure. It's incredible. It's inspiring. It's inspiring as a Canadian athlete as well. I'm so proud of them, and I can't wait to see both women continue in their fields.
It's amazing. 36,000 competitors in Tamarack Ottawa race weekend. It's amazing how much juice the elites give. I mean, take a look at these top women. You have people from all over the world, and you have Canadians right there. And if you can see it, you can be it. And Anne-Marie Comeau is giving a lot of kind of inspiration to a lot of young Canadian athletes out there that you can belong with the best on the planet.
Totally, and historically in this event, when we've watched these athletes go, when we rush to the finish line and we look for the elite field, we haven't seen a lot of Canadians in those top 10. So it's been in the last couple of years with some excellent coaching and opportunity, especially for women, excellent coaches, thank you so much, that have provided these women with these incredible splits and times, and it's only getting better. So now it's exciting to be able to bring our kids and say, well, watch for the Canadians, because they're gonna make that top 10.
It's so important to have the elite field in this event, isn't it?
It really is. I always find there's like a trickle-down effect, right? So the elites are there, and then you have, the elites like Blair Morgan, who finished 3rd on the Canadian side, and Tristan Woodfine. Tristan lives in the Ottawa area. Blair's right here in Ottawa. And so they're here, throughout the rest of the year, and the other local elites can see them, and they're like, okay, now I'm running with someone who finished top 10 at the Ottawa Marathon. So, and these guys want to run here because Albert Career and Rory Linkletter are here, right? So there's this trickle-down effect that, there's always this sort of 1 degree of separation. And without the excitement at the front end, there's still, of course, you can have a great event, but it's not the same,
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same excitement.
Also adds when the Prime Minister is just hanging out outside, watching all the elites go by and just kind of waving to everybody too.
Yeah, it's just the event is so special, and it draws so many people out, including our federal and municipal leaders. So, and they're on the course too. I'm tracking our mayor, who's approaching that 30K mark now, and it's pretty extraordinary to have just the whole town, 200,000 spectators plus the athletes. A quarter of the population is here.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much. Jenna Ladd, Ruud Coolset, Arash Madani saying so long. This has been the 2025 Tamarack Ottawa race weekend, where Albert Career has his 2nd Ottawa championship under his belt. And how about Mercy Chellengat getting it done on the women's side? For all of us here, thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you back in 2026.